Well, having an anti-post look at the Ladbrokes St Legend, I'd like to say I'm joined by some old familiar faces of Nick Watts and Graham Rodway. And so then, gentlemen, Camelot aims to become the first horse since Nijinsky, of course, to complete the Triple Crown. I think there's very little doubting of his ability. But Nick, we'll come to you first. Would you back him at 1-2?
No, not really. It's not really my idea of a fun bet. You know, I'm not going to be putting thousands on him. Don't have thousands, so no, at that kind of price. There's something about Camelot, and I mean, you can't argue what he's done. He's got an unbeaten record, but I've just been left slightly cold by what he's done this season. I thought that Irish Derby last time was a real non-event. Couldn't help but win. It's not the horse's fault, but it's it's on tea time on a Saturday night, and I think I was eating my dinner, and I didn't stop to go and watch that. And yeah, he won the Derby well enough. You know, you can't argue with that. He won the 2,000 guineas, but I think he's been winning, partly through his own, obviously through his own ability. He does have a lot of ability, but partly because I don't think there's very much there. Could be a similar story here. So he could win the St Leger. We all go mad about him, but it could just be that he's one of the few, if only, top-class 3-year-old around this season. So I'm looking for something else anyway. Put it that way, to give him a race at least.
And Graham, I mean, what would your take be on him? They're holding him such high regard at Ballydor, and obviously a step up to mile 6. Do you see any chinks in his armour?
He's the best 3-year-old around, there's no doubt about that, but it's not a very good generation, I don't think. I don't think he's beaten anything yet. The problem is this is a 3-year-old race. Again, he might not turn up and beat nothing. I don't really see any massive dangers in the field, but he's priced accordingly at 1-2. I wouldn't back him. OK, then, well, we're going to look for some value further down in the market, and I know, bizarrely, you're both weighing in with the same selection here. Strange things. But Thomas Chippendale, Nick, so Henry Cecil's bubbling around the 14-1 mark, and we've been touching on we think it's a fairly, if you knock the favourite out, it's a fairly wide open and perhaps average-looking field, but you think Thomas Chippendale's, got plenty of potential? Yeah,
absolutely. Like you said, it's a rare case of me and G-Rod agreeing on something, but yeah, Thomas Chippendale, lovely looking horse. I remember seeing him at Newbury first time out this season. He pulled too hard in that race, didn't get home. But then he went to Newmarket. It must have been an absolute certainty. I think he was off a handicap mark of 86 that day, and absolutely hosed up. And of course went straight on from there to the King Edward at Royal Ascot. And I was impressed with that performance. The margin of victory wasn't that great, but I think he was more superior than that suggests. He's still a little bit green. I still think there's a huge amount of improvement to come from this horse. And you look at the horses he beat, well, Noble Mission, really good yardstick, and won the York and Gordon Stakes at Goodwood last time, which is a recognised trial for the Leger. I think if Thomas Chippendale and Noble Mission met again, I'd expect the same result, but with a higher degree of superiority from Thomas Chippendale, because I think out of the two of them, he's, he just scratched the surface in terms of his ability. He goes for the Great Voltigeur next, so there's a slight question mark in terms of if you get on him now, obviously he'd have to win that to go to the Leger, but why can't he win the Great Voltigeur? I think he's a very promising horse.
Out deep, Thomas Chippendale. Noble Mission now running off a true line. Noble Mission strikes the front just from Thought-worthy. Thomas Chippendale down the outside though, now beginning to do better. Thomas Chippendale and Noble Mission as they race up to the line, and Thomas Chippendale sees it out just the best.
Graham, you're weighing in with the same opinion here.
Yeah, well, it's Camelot and then the rest underneath. And if you ask me what's best of the rest, then I think that Thomas Chippendale is quite comfortably got the best potential. May not have the best form yet, but a big scopy type has improved with every run. Last time out, really classy win at Ascot. As Nick says, the form has been frank since. He does need to improve, there's no doubt about it. His form doesn't tally up with Camelot's, but there's definitely the potential there, plenty of scope. So Henry Cecil has always liked the horse. And the way he's progressing, it wouldn't surprise me if he progressed into a contender for this. I think he should be second favourite, but he's around 14-1. He's about 6 points bigger than Great Heavens, who's a second favourite, and I think that 6 points is where the value lies.
We should very quickly touch upon the John Gosden brigade here, because he's pretty much got everything else running in the field. We've got potentially Great Heavens, Shantaram, we've got Michelangelo, Thought-worthy. I mean, Nick, very quickly, which one of those, do you think will turn up and perhaps be the biggest danger?
Great Heavens has taken advantage of the poor summer weather-wise we've had. She's really loved this soft and heavy ground. She won really well at Haydock, and then went shortly after that to Ireland and won well again there. I've got a doubt about her if she does turn up if it was a good to firm surface. We don't know how she's going to handle that. Seems to go very well with digging the ground. So I'd wait and see with her.
Princess Highway trying to improve, and then comes Colliding Worlds and Great Heavens in the centre, now beginning to get into the clear, and it's in the lead. Scirocco Star, Great Heavens now coming with a tremendous burst on the outside for William Buick, and flashes to the front, and William Buick and John Gosden will win the Darley Irish Oaks. From
Shantaram could be the one from the John Gosden stable. I think same route as Mask Marvel used last season, won the Bahrain Trophy, won it quite well I thought, and was only a very small margin off Main Sequence earlier in the season at Lingfield in the Derby trial there. So, you know, you could argue, and Tom Segal has put him up in the Racing Post already, that Shantaram is almost there in form terms, because that Lingfield run would have put him close to Camelot in the Derby. Not close enough, obviously, but probably would have made him second in the Derby. So Shantaram would be the most interesting of the Gosden Brigade for me.
Shantaram, a little green, Main Sequence running on well, flashing the tail slightly inside the final half furlong. Main Sequence and Shantaram. Main Sequence by 3 parts of a length, and Main Sequence.
Very quickly, G-Rod, any of the Gosden not taking your eye?
Great Heavens looks slow. Shantaram looks slow. Faultworthy looks slow. I mean, it is a St Ledger, but this is a better St Ledger than most years. You've got potential Derby winner, the Derby winner potentially running in it. You've got a classy type in Thomas Chippendale, who I think has got speed. I'll be surprised if those slow boats are able to cope with those two.
Okay, so you're not not particularly happy with what you see. Generally, is an average year. So there we are. Thomas Chippendale, unanimous decision. Get on for the Ledger now.